Okay, we're rolling.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Super BS. My name is Brian. This is
Brian.
Also Brian.
Damn it. This is how we start every single episode.
It's funny
Get
every
your
time.
freaking names right for one time.
It's funny every time. The joke just never gets
It
old.
never gets old. Everybody says that. They love it online. We're getting constant mad likes. Everybody's.
I think that we should just use, because I don't like my name being on it, so maybe we should just use our like gamer tag names.
And then we also put a bag over your head so we can see you.
I would like to be called Donna from here on out.
Donna, okay, Donna, and we're gonna face blur you, so you don't have to worry
You don't
about
have to face blur me, just call me Donna.
Okay, Donna, what Donna Air Client, what
That's my full name.
everybody knows who he is now, because there's no other person on the area with your name. Anyways, back to games. What have you been playing, Donna?
I'll go last.
Okay, what have you been playing?
I was playing Final Fantasy, I know.
Again?
Again.
We already talked about that
I'm
like
just going through it.
a month and a half ago, man.
I don't have a PlayStation, so I can't buy Horizon. So I've
Okay.
been playing.
No, there's a lot of
I've just
games.
been playing what I already own. There's nothing like that's been driving me out until last night when I finally had time to go buy Halo Wars 2,
Which is what?
which is fantastic.
Maybe Sony will buy us PlayStation.
This is
Because
true.
according to the internet,
Sony, we love you.
They're the most customer-friendly company. They always have their
For the gamers, by the
for
way.
the gamers first. They never make any decisions that are to their benefit and the detriment of others. So maybe you'll see this and buy us PlayStations.
Sony, we have 15 downloads. Okay, we're climbing to the top pretty quick.
We're talking to you.
I will
okay?
play my PlayStation 4.
I will.
It's free.
I will play my PlayStation 4. Josh.
I will play it if it's free.
And we'll also take copies of Tales of Berseria because we told you how much we love that game. We all want a copy of that.
Tales of Breasteria. More
And
like
Tales of
Bro.
Bro
Area. That was actually the title of the first episode. If you did not catch that.
Because we love Tales games here.
We
It's
love
the
Tales.
Pro Tales podcast. Anyways, about Halo Wars 2.
Halo Wars 2.
Oh, speaking of Tales, okay.
We'll talk some more about Tales.
No, story. Okay, I bought Halo Wars 2, took it home, undressed it, its wrappings, you know. Kind of talk dirty to it a little bit, put it in my Xbox.
We need a button that just goes,
Yes.
oh yeah.
Waited 2 hours for it to install, and then I played it. And this Halo Wars 2, so did you ever play the first one?
Yeah, I played. Did you get a chance to play?
Yeah, I played the first one.
So it was fun, but it kind of felt like people were questioning it. It kind of felt like they didn't know what they were doing at first. It's kind of like, we're taking this new property, we're turning it into an RTS game, and it just, they didn't feel comfortable with it, though it was a lot of fun. But like this one, they know what they were making, and everything is so much smoother. The gameplay, the cinematics, just like the new classes you can play with. Granted, I haven't gotten to the beat of the game yet, but just like from the first level, like there's a lot of stuff that it feels like I'm playing Age of Empires but with Halo, and it's.
So I got one question for you. Where's the beef of the game? You just mentioned you weren't there yet, so
I imagine it's further on.
Where's the beef, Josh?
Where is the beef? That's what
I heard that they used Blur for the cinematics.
Yes.
Company, and people say they got 80 minutes of cinematics.
There's a lot of cinematics on there.
Some people
But that was like-
I heard were estimating that Blur charges almost $1 million a minute.
I mean, it's
Well,
not
if this was Tales Wars,
Yeah.
it would be Skinematics.
Cinematics.
But yeah, that's.
Have you played anything else? Just 15 in Halo Wars 2?
15, yeah, just 15 Halo Wars 2.
Do you want me to tell you guys what I've been playing?
Yeah.
I've been touching a whole
Do we have a
lot of
choice?
things, okay? Donna, you love it.
I'm deciding I'm gonna act like I don't care the whole time. It's just my new character, trying it out.
We're gonna cut that out so nobody knows what he just said. So just do a real quick reverse blip noise on that. What he said.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would like you to bleep my name though. in
Bleep?
anything.
My name.
There'll be a little like title box that says Donna. I don't know.
But yes. We're giving you guys inside baseball right now. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you love it. I've been touching a lot of stuff. I've been playing a little bit of Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I only played about 5 minutes of the game, but I watched.
Do you like that game, Caleb? I loved the last one.
Human Revolution?
Human Revolution, I loved it, but it took me so long to get into it. And then I jumped into this one, and while everything looks cool, it's really difficult.
I honestly just was like, hey, I own this game, I should turn it on. So I got to the front part, and it looks really cool. And that's where I was like, oh man, I should try something else, because I watched the 12-minute video review of the last game. So I was like, I've already put 25 or 30 minutes into this, I'll just...
It's like one of those games where it's fun, but you have to have a lot of patience to play it.
Well, I chose my Trank sniper rifle, so I'm going Trank rifle. Then I also tried a little bit of Just Cause 3. Have you guys ever played Just Cause game?
No.
It's like poor man's Grand Theft Auto, but it is a lot of fun. It's my biggest problems, which a lot of people have. It's a very old game, 2015, I believe. Is the loading times are ridiculous, upwards of a minute and a half to 3 minutes. So you just get really bored watching loading screens, and they load quite a bit. And the story's not very compelling, but I mean it's an interesting game. You have a grapple hook. That's one of the games that started the grapple hook trend.
I'm sold.
I mean, I want you guys all to rush out and buy this game. Everybody I'm talking to right now, buy 10 copies, Just Cause 3 for
I'm gonna go to GameStop and be like, I heard this game has grappling hooks.
Grappling hooks are
If
what
they
everyone
confirm
wants.
what you said, then I'm gonna be like, I'll take 3 of them.
I mean, we all love them, man. We love grappling hooks. I also have just been finishing up Watch Dogs 2, and by finishing up, I mean I'm halfway through it, and probably nowhere near the end, and I don't know if I'll beat it. And then I did play another 20 minutes of Mass Effect 3. So I've touched a lot of things and dabbled here and there, but yeah, I haven't really sat down and played anything really in depth. Just like you don't, and you don't play anything in
I don't
depth
play anything.
ever. Okay. What have you been playing?
Speaking of grappling hook, I did buy that move for my warrior in Dragon Age.
Grappling hook move. He pulls guys, right?
Yeah.
First move I bought in the game, man. You gotta get that quick.
Nah, it's not that useful.
It's kind of fun though.
Yeah, they had a move, I think, they had, if you were playing, a DPS warrior in the last Dragon Age, I think you had, a jump into the fray kind of move where you could, instead of, pulling a guy to you, you could, jump forward and do, a heavy attack.
They don't have that in this one?
I think rogues have something like that, but not, I can't find a warrior move.
I need to go back.
The problem with speccing in Dragon Age that I find is that it's almost more useful for your AI, but your AI is not very good, but your AI characters can use moves that they don't have mapped.
Yeah.
And when you're playing on console, you're limited by how many moves you can map to
Isn't
your...
it right trigger or left trigger brings an extra set of moves though, or something like that? Or?
Not left trigger, right?
Okay.
Because right trigger is just attack. And
Oh, it's attack. Okay.
Yeah, and then left trigger brings up your move palette and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then, it's not too limited, but it becomes a thing where I think, and maybe I should think about this because I think there's certain, when you buy moves, you get stats with them. So maybe that makes up for the difference of not being able to use tons of moves all the time.
Yeah, it's a lot of games have that problem. But real quick to reiterate, Donna over here is playing Dragon Age. Inquisition. Again. How close are you finishing it?
I don't think I'm very close. The one thing I want to constantly stress is that games need to be smaller.
Make your games smaller, guys.
The games industry will continue to suffer when everyone's going for making 100+ hour games. Even when they're great, like Dragon Age I think is a great game. It's not a Ubisoft game, so...
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second. Do you think that it's because there's a lot of unnecessary side quests? I've played games that are full of side quests that not only do they not give you any trophies or achievements, but they don't add anything to the story. It's like, here, why don't you go do this, but it's not add to the experience at all.
It's to the detriment of the overall game experience, and for the most part, games are in a weird spot because they're like a weird mix between an entertainment product and an artistic endeavor.
Yeah.
So there's a weird thing where it's a great game to me is a game like Bastion, which is really short, cool. But it's such an artistically and aesthetically cohesive experience. And yeah, they could have added maybe more systems to the game, but there's still quite a few, and at no point to me it's like a perfectly satisfying game. Not to say it's a perfect game, but because perfect is an unrealistic standard, it is a perfect game. Same with a game like Super Mario 3D Land on 3DS.
Yeah, that game was so much fun.
That game was so good, really good. And it's got it mixes a whole bunch of different styles of Mario. It you're totally in the whole weird like drug trippiness of the Mushroom Kingdom. Like it's there. And then even like on a larger game, like a game that I think is amazing is Lost Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey is good
from Mistwalker. And that whole game, I mean, it has the same. It keeps true to its like aesthetic nature. It's like kind of like wanderiness. It's like, you know, like it's the one game where you play a amnesiac protagonist that I don't hate.
Well, just, I mean, back in the day, that used to not be something anybody hated because it was fairly new, but now it's like used.
Yeah, but it's also a unique take on it because the guy's immortal, but an amnesiac. So it's like, that's like a really interesting thought.
And the combat.
But like the whole game has this somber, reflective feel to it, and the music and the art direction, the places you go, and the story, the way the story develops. And it's not that long of a game. I think it's like a 50-hour game, 60-hour maybe if you're thorough. I think that's what it took me when I beat it the first time.
It's like 4 discs though, right?
Yeah, it's 4 discs, but that's just
a lot of it's that.
Yeah,
it just needs up a lot of space on the disc.
But you know, it's the same with like Dark Souls 1 too. Like that's like an aesthetically cohesive experience. Like the whole game has got that feel, and there's a lot to do, but you can be enthralled in the whole experience the whole time, or enthralled with the whole experience the whole time. Whereas like a game like Assassin's Creed, or at least the newer Assassin's Creeds, where there's so much to do, at some point it switches from being this like, whoa, I'm this cool assassin, I'm scaling buildings, I'm like looking at everything, to like, I gotta do all this stuff now.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's the thing, and I think they do it because there's like pressure to have like, oh, like there's the whole market, like, you know, like you see every like annoying commenter on every video game website, like, I'm not paying $60 for a 20-hour game. It's like, that mentality is so off base, I think, in a lot of ways, and it keeps people from making games that like are fully envisioned experiences, because they have a vision for what they want to do, and then they have all this stuff that they have to do because of pressures from their publisher company, because they're under EA or something, or you know, like BioWare, where it's we got to add all this stuff to the game, or we got to rush this game out.
They have a multiplayer in that game I never touched ever, and I don't think I ever will. Dragon Age multiplayer, like why? I don't even know why they added it. But
I just know this. I would never play it because I want to be in my single player RPG experience. Like I don't.
Well, it's kind of like Mass Effect. It was a fun multiplayer. You didn't need it. I mean, you would have sold just as many copies of the game without the multiplayer.
But I think a lot of companies are scared. But to talk about or to speak on what Donna was saying is the open world aspect of games. I do like that games are becoming open world. But that being said, that we just need smaller open spaces.
Yeah,
like I like the idea of traveling.
The two trains of thought though that I'm getting at is that one, games that make themselves bigger on purpose, or not on purpose, not make themselves bigger just for the sake of making themselves bigger. It's fluff, and it takes away from the artistic side of a game's experience. You know, like a game like Undertale, like is not a fluff game. It's not that long either. But same with a game like Bastion, like I mentioned earlier. Like imagine if you know, Bastion was under EA and it was like, oh, well, you've got to have a multiplayer component and you have to have an open world area. These would be more side quests, all this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, but we want to take people on this specific type of experience. Or a game like Journey.
Yeah, Journey was great.
Journey's great, and it's like, what, 2
hours? Yeah. Sat down one night, played the whole thing, and
imagine if a game like Journey fell victim to the syndrome that every big company is like pushing. So it's like,
there's more towers.
There's that side of it, and then there's just the side that, like, for every game that comes out that's like competing for game length and size and like money to hours like ratio, like that's one less game that I'm gonna play. It's because I just don't have time. Like I've got time to play Dragon Age Inquisition, but I'm not gonna play like the next open world Assassin's Creed game. Like,
do you think that's why people are going? So many people like the indie developers because those games are significantly shorter than all these AAA.
I think it's
not just significantly shorter, but people appreciate like a cohesive artistic vision. Like whether or not they even think games are art or whatever, like people respond to good, cohesive, coherent things. And not that indie games are perfect or anything, but when a game, like, I played through Dust a couple years ago. The game.
I never actually played the Xbox game where
yeah,
it was like create the world.
Yeah, no.
Oh, Dust Elysian Tale.
Dust Elysian Tale.
Yeah, that's
not
a
that
cool game.
Dust.
I like that.
Yeah, Dust Elysian Tale. I think it was made by one dude.
Yeah,
right?
one dude. Yeah,
and it looks
cool.
kind of like a weird Disney cartoon.
Yeah.
It's like a Arabasa kind of like
it's
vanillaware kind of game. And it's not amazing. The story is a little cheesy at times.
It's fun.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
And I beat the whole thing, and it was like you could tell that one guy had like an idea and brought it to fruition, as opposed to like a bunch of people got involved and then it was like all over the place and it had a bunch of different ideas. Like there's something about a like single vision being developed to its fullest potential. Even if it's not perfect in the end, I think that there's just like a responsiveness to that.
It's pure. It's you don't have like interference. It's like the scale down syndrome. You don't have like all these people putting ideas into something, or Kingdom Hearts. You know, it's
But see, but then there is a flip side, because my intuition on the scalebound side is to think that the guy whatever the guy had made up to that point was probably a disaster.
Well, I don't think he had a real vision. My guess is Xbox was just like, hey, make us a platinum game.
I mean, because a company like Microsoft too, that is like feels like they have to constantly fight for approval.
Yeah.
Like I think they knew how much bad press would go with the decision to cancel Scalebound.
Yeah, they had to do that.
So that is probably representative of like where that game, like what state that game was in.
It's just an interesting place we're in. I feel like a lot of companies are, I mean, the opposite of 15, unwilling to cut stuff out of their games. Like,
because it becomes to like it constantly adding syndrome.
And it costs money.
That's like the
to
flip.
make
That's
things.
again. That's like the other side of having like a one person's artistic vision. Is if no one's telling you no, you know, it's like we get the Star Wars prequels, like, and it's like that kind of side has to it too, where it's like I'm sure that guy for Scalebound had an idea and a vision, and then he realized that he was getting to make his dream game. It was like, oh, I'm gonna add this and this and this and this and this and this, and then no one was just saying no. And at some point, your vision becomes blurred anyway. So it's like
it's a hard thing that, as none of us are developers, it's really hard to say. But because games cost so much money to make, I think a lot of people don't want to like cut because they're like, hey, we spent money on this. So instead of taking towers out of games, we already spent money making the models and the code that works for these towers. Let's put more towers into the game.
Yeah.
And games are becoming bigger and bigger services that are just changing the game landscape. And
the problem with that, like games as a service, like mentality, is that there's just not enough people and time in existence for all of the games.
But people don't. The problem is the bigger companies that are getting lion's share don't care. Like the Blizzards, who only make 1 or 2 games a year, they don't care.
2 games a decade.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, not even 1 or 2 games a year. Sorry, 1 game a year at most. They don't care if nobody ever plays Mass Effect, or they don't actually care if nobody plays Call of Duty, which they're owned by the same parent company.
Yeah, they want to keep gamers playing their product as long as possible.
And it's something we're going to talk about today in the news, because this is actually, there's some games that come out that kind of deal with the same problem, and there's some things that are changing in terms of like how many products we're seeing, you know?
Speaking of that, the other game that I've been playing this week a little bit is Pure Solar.
Oh yeah, I never got to that. It would be perfect if we had time to touch this old Genesis that we got.
I think that I regret getting it on the Wii U.
Yeah.
Because the game like asks you to use the gamepad.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to use the game. See, the only issue that I really have with the Wii U gamepad, because I actually think it's really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good control.
The main thing I have is that so many games, like even when you're using the virtual console, they have the game on the TV screen.
And on there. It's hard. It's distracting.
It's distracting to like watch the TV when it's right here.
I can't do that.
So, okay, but here's the thing. You can turn it off in this, like you can turn the display off, like you can do that option. Like if you're playing a game and you're like, I don't want to use the screen, I just want to watch it on TV. You can go like into the menu and just turn the display off.
Oh, nice, okay.
Okay, so here's where it breaks down for Pure Solar. I should like do some, like I should just GameFAQs search for some. I'm sure someone, of all places, GameFAQs has to have a Pure Solar thread somewhere, so. But
guy, please.
yeah, but there's this thing you get called the LASA screen, and you access it by using the touch panel on the Wii U gamepad. And when you turn off the Wii U gamepad, I can't find a way to map buttons anywhere in Pure Solar to like assign it to a button. And you don't use every button, so you should be able to do it.
Yeah.
But I keep getting this notification popping up saying, touch the screen to use the LASA screen. And I'm like, I want to blow this up. And the game feels super janky, not janky in a glitchy way, but more like, it's got that weird thing where you can only move in 4 directions. You can't move like side to side.
Oh, okay.
But the controllers, like the directional buttons are uber sensitive. So
let you do the.
yeah, so it just like feels a little like weird. But
I do not miss 4 directional games.
But here's the thing. I helped kickstart that game.
Yeah,
so I feel like the need to play through it.
You're obligated to play.
Yeah, but I might actually rebuy it on like Xbox or Vita or something. Vita would probably be the best place to play it.
Yeah, I wonder if it was cross-buy. If you got on Vita, you also got on PS4.
No idea.
I have no clue.
Do you know what Pure Solar is?
No.
So Pure Solar is it's a French RPG. I'm pretty sure it's French.
Yeah, the style
French
of
or
RPG.
French Canadian.
I think it's from France.
Yeah.
Watermelon is the name of the group.
And it's they made it for Sega, like Genesis.
Sega Genesis, the original.
Oh, geez.
Or Sega Master System, whatever.
Just never
And they,
got out.
no, they made it like in the 2000s or something.
Yeah, and they
like,
sold some copies.
They made it like a.
Oh, so they did it on purpose.
They did it on purpose,
Okay.
yeah. And it was like a love letter to RPGs, as they called it. And it's like, you know, they literally made a game for Sega Genesis, with the cartridge and everything. And then they ran a Kickstarter campaign to port it to consoles, like consoles that you
Modern consoles,
that you can use more modern. And we funded that because we're RPG fans. I actually
That's cool. It was like an old school JRPG done today, which you don't see very often.
Yeah, and I funded it at a tier to like get a physical soundtrack because I am a huge fan of video games.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's got some. It's like every like RPG soundtrack. It's got some really cool tunes, some really dorky tunes. I think at that time I was in the middle of like studying composition at school, and so I would like listen to certain bits of like this was written bad, but being
hard to take yourself out of that.
college student. But yeah, it's a fun soundtrack, and I like the game's aesthetics and stuff. But there's it's hard to get anywhere. One, because I've been playing it late at night, and my intuition. See, the game I've played the most on my Wii U, besides maybe Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which is amazing, is Dr. Mario. Because I'm a pretty big Dr. Mario fan.
Dr. Luigi, isn't it now?
I've never played that one.
Oh my gosh.
It's good, man. It's like a pretty good version of Tetris.
Okay.
It's the best. And I had a friend that she used to play it like a lot as a kid, so when we hang out, we play Dr. Mario, like just, and my friend's not a gamer person at all. She's so freaking good at Dr. Mario. Like, I used to practice just to try to beat her.
Because you can play side by side, right?
Yeah, you can play side by side. But yeah, Dr. Mario is super fun. I freaking love that game. But so I'll play a few rounds of Dr. Mario here. Because like, when you first start playing after a long time, you're bad at it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I want to get my skill back, and then you work, and you're like, okay, and then you kind of get into it. But yeah, with Pure Solar, it's like, certain little things are, like, I haven't even gotten to a single fight yet, because...
the story opening's pretty long?
It's really not that long, but it's like, it's not that engaging.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, we have to go to this cave and find something for your sick dad, which is fine, like, okay. But then it's like, you go to the forest, and you're like, hey, we shouldn't be here yet. We have to go get weapons and talk to this guy in the lab. So I went and bought weapons at the store, and talk to this guy at the lab, and he joins your party, and that's where you get this stupid robot screen. It's touchscreen only.
That's weird that they do that.
Yeah, I think that it was just an oversight where it's like, where you're like, the last thing you think about is like, oh, wait a minute, can you map buttons though? Like,
because it was originally designed for like cartridge, they wouldn't have taken in mind that would be on a separate screen.
Right? It's so annoying. And I need to look. Maybe it's something that you don't have to use at all.
Yeah, because it's on Xbox and all those other consoles. A lot of them don't have touchscreen that Vita and Wii U does.
Yeah. But anyway, so I go buy weapons, get this guy from the lab, and then I go back to the forest. It's like, hey, silly, we have to go talk to this guy in his lab and buy weapons still. Or you can go get weapons. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've done this. And the reason why it did that is because you have to go to the girl's house and go to the chest in her room and get her weapon.
Which is silly.
And then, but it's just funny, like the little things where it's like, how hard would it have been to code a line of text where it's like, oh, hey, it's good that we got this guy from the lab, but we still need to get my weapon. Like,
yeah, it's just old ancient stuff, but we actually need to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about more ancient stuff. Maybe not. Badoosh.
If you're tired of sifting through flea markets for rare and unique games, we can help. Retro City Games in Henderson, Nevada, only 5 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip, has all your favorite gaming staples, classics, and a wide selection of rare games with new stuff always appearing on our shelves. Come in and chat with Nicole or Doug about your love of games and watch as they help you complete your collection or find your childhood favorite. And don't forget, Retro City Games loves trade-ins. So if you have any Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, Xbox, PlayStation, or even PC games, come in and visit Retro City Games today. Welcome to the new metropolis of gaming, Retro City Games.
We are back, and in the first half we talked a lot about games that were bloated and had a lot of open world conventions like towers. I want to bring out a game that comes out next Tuesday called Horizon Zero Dawn. No, all the reviews. The embargo just ended this week. None of us have had a chance to play it, but from what I understand, they do something interesting that I want to bring out just because we were talking about like Assassin's Creed and all those games, where they have that bloat in the game where they have the extra things you want, but they do it in a subtle way where instead of like 12 or 20 towers, there are 4 towers. And instead of like 16 bandit camps, there are like 4 or 5 bandit camps.
But when you say bandit camps, are you referring to Borderlands?
I'm referring to Far Cry. If anybody checked out any of the reviews and the game like previews, the game is essentially a Far Cry game. So
it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's supposed to be great. It's a Far Cry game, take it or leave it. It's not going to be the game that sets the world on fire. It's again, like, I felt like similar to No Man's Sky, a lot of people are expecting it to change everything, but in all honesty, it is just a really good open world game. But I just want to say, hey, that's something I'm looking forward to, and that's something that, what we were talking about, they are trying to change that. So I just want to bring that up real quick. But other news that we found out this week was from Square Enix.
I just want to say, I think Horizon looks awesome, yeah. The character design looks cool too. I like the main...
Aloy, yeah, she's cool. It's a cool game. I'm always skeptical from the creators, Guerrilla Games, because the only other games they made were Killzone, and I did not like Killzone. Like, it wasn't fun. I bought one of them. I sold it.
It sounds to me like they've learned from their past mistakes. So.
Yeah, and
I think the best part about Killzone the game was the real life game that went with it of Sony fanboys trying to convince everyone that it was awesome.
Yeah.
That's like the meta game of Killzone.
Yeah.
Man, remember when Killzone was supposed to be the Halo killer? I remember they coming all the Game Informers. Sony has its Halo.
I think I was still like a Sony fanboy when I heard that too, but I just wasn't interested.
Well, I played the demo. Back then we always got those demo CDs, and it was like you played it and you're like, this isn't fun. How is this gonna be a Halo killer? But anyways, we got some cool news from Square Enix, or interesting news, I guess, from Square Enix.
Yeah, they're newly started. Let me just pull this up here because I'm going to butcher the name. Their newly started studio, Isotola.
Okay, that's a weird name.
Yeah, or I think that's right. Let's see.
I know the name of the guy, but I don't know the name of the studio.
And it's called, the name of the guy, Hideo Baba.
Hideo Baba?
Which is, he's like a former Tales producer. But actually look this guy's track record up, and he's not a designer or anything. He's produced some Tales games, and then he's brand manager on some Tales games. But he also was a producer or something on Blue Dragon Awakened Shadow, which is a Mistwalker game. That's awesome.
Blue Dragon was fun.
Blue Dragon's great, but this is like a 3DS or DS game. It's like a hack and slash. Hubtown,
this one's
bottomless dungeon. No,
this is the previous one. This was they came out with 2 Blue Dragon DS games after the original Blue Dragon on Xbox.
One's a strategy game, and the other one's like an action RPG.
Okay.
Action RPG is actually pretty dang great. It's fun. I mean, it's the same as every action RPG. You've got your Hubtown. You go fight harder monsters for more and more gear. But I mean, that's the kind of thing. It's like the same as an MMO. At the end of the day, you're playing it based on the aesthetic of the game because it's all the same. It's all just basically a dress-up simulator with fighting. So it's like,
do you like what you're?
Blue Dragon's a cool world, so it's a fun game. But so this guy, it's called, Project Prelude Rune.
Of course.
But it's a new RPG.
Why do they always have those like long, unpronounceable names? It's like listening to an emo band. You know, they have these like sentence-long song names. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prelude, man, to rain.
But yeah, so my guess is that the game is going to be called Rune Prelude.
Rune Prelude,
Yeah.
birth, rebirth, sleep.
Anyway, so the concept art looks cool. It's got this elvish-looking gal petting a dragon.
Yeah, we can. We will.
Yeah. There's some cool-looking cities, lots of dragons and things like that.
Will there be dragons?
It seems like there's going to be dragons.
That is a selling point here. We are dragons.
Oh.
Now, it's probably a long time out because it's apparently the studio is still hiring designers and programmers and stuff. But I'm optimistic because I like the concept art, and I like one-off RPGs that Square makes. Like that's something I miss. Square used to do a lot more. It seems like they did a lot more like experimental projects. They seem to be getting back to that trend now.
Yeah.
They have their like Bravely Default series. They have like I Am Setsuna and that kind of stuff. Where they're doing more than just their big brands. But the thing that makes me apprehensive is they haven't announced a platform, which makes me think we're just going to get another crappy mobile game.
Everybody loves mobile games, okay? That's something we talk about much.
Do you think that's like because it's safe? They think it's safe that they do.
Japan's market is all about mobile games.
Yeah.
The PS4 didn't. I mean, it sold well, better than Xbox, obviously over there, but it's still not selling like the 3DS, or I think even the Vita has beaten it some.
But see, if they were making another handheld game, I'd buy it day one. Even if this guy's from Tales, but if it's a mobile game, I'll never play it. It's just I might download it if it's free, but I'm sure it will be one of those things where you have like a weird intro, and then you get to a menu screen with like here's your green orbs, and they're for getting more characters, and then here's your red orbs, which cost you real money, but they're better than green orbs. And then your red-green orbs, and it's like
you get those by spending your green orbs to buy red orbs, and they're only mixed orbs because they can't be as good as the one you spend real money on.
By the way, reading this tutorial costs you $2.99. Bill to your iTunes.
So, speaking of less frustrating games, we know the platforms of Mass Effect Andromeda is coming out next month, and there's something really awesome.
Yeah, they
came out or is pre-releasing.
Yeah, well, it's out now. You can buy it.
It won't ship yet.
It won't ship yet, but you can pre-order it. But it's a expansion for Cards Against Humanity, and so if you guys
for families,
a game for families, play with your kids. But if you play Cards Against Humanity, you know that there's a lot of like
clean jokes.
Yeah, there's a lot of adult humor, so it makes me wonder like what is going to happen with Mass Effect, or are they going to be like making cards about Krogan junk, or is it like what's going on here?
To be fair, there's only 14 cards. So
14 cards.
It's going to change the world.
With only 14 cards though, they have to do something funny. It has to be hilarious.
But disclaimer, I bought 2 copies of it, or pre-ordered 2 copies of it, so I get 28 cards.
Yes!
28 new cards, that's how it works.
What makes me laugh though is the people at BioWare are constantly active on social media, and just the things that they say are funny. Because right here, Connell Pierce, their community manager, said, "Rest assured there's more than just jokes about kissing aliens in this pack. There are also cards about getting to second, even third base." Nice. I love reading those guys' tweets because they always say the funniest, most random.
Is that the BioWare guys though, or the guys who made this expansion?
That's the BioWare guys.
Oh, okay.
And the guys who made the expansion said, "We agreed to do this because Mass Effect is the only good AAA game out there." False. We thought that if we made this pack of cards, they'd let us play Andromeda early. Unfortunately, that did not happen.
I'll go check it out on totally-affable-aliens.com.
Yeah.
Let's bleep out the affable. Anyways, that was all kind of a prelude to what we really wanted to talk about today.
Project Prelude.
Oh, Prelude. Which, speaking of Project Prelude, it could be coming out to this console. We never know, and I don't have a lot of hope for it that it will. But the Nintendo Switch is coming out a week from tomorrow. And we got some news about today. Some really great, awesome news everybody wants to hear. They have no plans for Virtual Console at launch, and they will tell people about it at a later date.
Wait. So what's the awesome part?
awesome part is that we don't get any games. There's only Zelda coming out, and there's no virtual console.
Yeah.
That's actually me just being
This is what sarcasm sounds like. This is sarcasm.
there are a few games coming out, but I know personally, I'm really disappointed that Nintendo has not mentioned virtual console at all, and then just decided to say, oh, hey, we're delaying it on a system that already seems to only have, I think they brought their total up to 10 games, and only 2 or 3 of those are retail games.
So the moral of the story here is that Nintendo jumped the gun on their Switch release.
No, the moral story is they're doing perfect. They're the best company ever. They've never made a mistake. They only make gold, and don't ever listen to anybody who says different, Josh.
I think everyone must be like astounded at this point, where it's like, how do you continually release severely underpowered consoles, which is not philosophically wrong, but on top of that, have nothing to go with it. So it's like, the virtual console is the biggest no-brainer of all time.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everyone, like no one disagrees that has like rational thinking where it's like, oh yeah, virtual console, that makes sense. And it's like every generation they refuse to do it. And they refuse to do it, or they like say they'll do it and do it well. I'm pretty sure like when they say there's no virtual console at launch, there is a 1% chance that means they're planning something really kick-ass and they're like gonna reveal it.
Hopefully.
But what it probably means is that when they came up with the Switch, they're like, this is so good, people are finally gonna stop asking for a virtual console. They're gonna be so sold on our new console that they're gonna stop asking us to like get into our old games and kind of stuff like that. And then when people start asking about it, they're like, they're still asking about it. Well, we'll do something eventually. We'll release.
Do you think it's that, or do you think that Nintendo is just not being upfront with their fans about what they can expect from their products?
Well, that is it. But it's because I think it's because there's that bullheadedness where they keep thinking that they have something great and that people won't want anything else. But that's just not true.
I just think Nintendo is so far removed, like you mentioned before, their board doesn't like video games. I don't think they know what the fans want. But the craziest thing to me is, it's not like, they don't know what the fans want, but if you read articles, like before the reveal, tons of professional video game journalists and media talk about ways that the Switch can be the best console ever, have a virtual console that works at launch. I mean, people are asking
for... They give them a roadmap. Yeah. They give them an instruction kit. Yeah. It's like that they don't know what the internet is. They can just go on the internet and see what the fans want.
It's been proven they don't have a clue what the internet is. I'll be surprised.
Well, but see, that's the thing. Is it like remember when Operation Rainfall or whatever happened? Like they heard that, and there's probably other factors, behind just like that weird group. But they obviously are aware to some degree of.
They are, but
the internet.
So Operation Rainfall and Mother 3, I can understand at least Nintendo being like, man, maybe there's not actually enough people who want these, because there's always like the loud fanboys. Things like Virtual Console, they probably have data that prove how well it's sold. Now, the problem is you can't use the Wii U data because 2 reasons. One, not that many people bought Wii U's. Second reason is they make you re-buy the games. So it's like some people are not going to buy them from them anyways because they force you to pay twice. Right. So, but at least you got the Wii.
That's the weirdest thing too, because with the Wii U, you can load your Wii into it, and then you can go into your emulated Wii and play your Wii Virtual Console games.
But you can't do that with the Switch. Is that?
Well, right now we don't know anything. But what you're getting
I'm talking about how stupid it is that you have to rebuy your Wii U Virtual Console games.
Oh, they don't just give them to you.
No, you had to pay like $1 to $2, just a small fee. But to like get them upgraded so that you could do cool things, so they can play them on the tablet and do the save. And hey, I was okay with that. If they told me on the Switch, if you want your old games, you have to pay $1 or $2 per game upgrade. I would still say, okay, I get them portable now because the Nintendo 3DS has a Virtual Console, but it's really limited. It's only Super Nintendo games and it only works on the new Nintendo 3DS.
Right.
So we still don't have ways to play like Super Mario 64 on the go or...
Super Mario 64 DS.
Oh yeah, Super Mario 64 DS.
Because the camera.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have like a good way to play a lot of these games, and there's still no way to play like Overbell 64 and a lot of their great games. So hey, you've got a console style system that you are also making portable. Just give it like either do a Netflix thing, charge us monthly, and then allow us to download it because you can't just have it running off Wi-Fi because then it loses the portable aspect.
Yeah.
Or allow us to buy the games honestly, I have a pre-order. I would have been happy to even re-buy the games at full value if I could have gotten it launched. But at this point, it's like...
If they could promise us that this would be the last time
that
we have to deal with their stupidity regarding their virtual console and all that stuff.
Yeah. This could be the last time they create a console. Like, if this thing
we'll see. They have a lot of money, but they may not want to risk it again if this does tank. And we're going to have to see. We all talked about it, and I think we all agree, like, they rushed this. There's no reason why the Nintendo Switch needs to come out March 3rd. Like, there's only the Zelda game, and they could have said, hey, we're waiting till summer.
Yeah.
At least put that and Splatoon 2 out together, and you got at least 2 games.
It's almost embarrassing. I mean, just like, it seems so obvious that you could think like, okay, it's 2017, like, if they had put out a console as strong as the Xbox One or the PS4 Pro, like, it would be underpowered in a year anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's not even as powerful as those.
Right. So it's like, and I get it. Like, I never once played a Nintendo first-party game on the Wii or the Wii U and had a single complaint about the graphics.
No, they're great.
They're great games.
They use art to their advantage.
So, know how to do all that. But it's virtual console business. It's like,
that seems to be like a huge selling point for them. That's what fans want. So you think that they would be paying attention to, like.
That's why I got a Wii. Yeah. I remember seeing the videos for the Wii, and I remember being like, I want that because I love these old games. I don't want to drag out an N64 or Super Nintendo. The idea that I get to just play this game, it's awesome. And then it's like 3 years after the Wii comes out, then they have Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy 3 for Super Nintendo. The games that I wanted to play, but it's like, you made me wait 3 years to get these games? Like, Overbell 64 didn't even come out till 4 or 5 years in the Wii's life. Yeah. So it's like, are they going to make us do that again with the Switch, where they just release 1 or 2 games at a time until they stop? Like, I just don't know what they're doing, and I don't know if they know what they're doing.
I wonder if we should appeal directly to their board of directors, or their board or whatever, because those are the people that hate games but want their money.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're listening, Japanese board directors, like,
if you're one of those 80 people,
if you want your money, tell them to give us the virtual console.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword though, because people aren't just going to stop buying Nintendo.
I think the Wii U showed that people will stop buying the consoles. A lot of people are hoping that Nintendo will fail enough that we'll get those games on our Xboxes and PlayStation 4s.
Do you think that they notice this directly though? Like,
they know that they have financial problems.
They're completely oblivious to like what could fix their financial problems. So
it doesn't even matter if they have financial problems because they're generating so much bad bill that it will eventually like turn on them. I mean, it's the same thing. Like
Sony's doing it too. A lot of Japanese companies, they like the guy at Sony when he created, he's like, I don't even know why people are buying the console this much, because they at the time when it released, it didn't have any good first-party games. Finally, in 2017, that system came out in 2013. They are finally now getting their first party in order. They had Uncharted last year and like Bloodborne in 2015, but before that they just had like 1 or 2 decent games a year. And now they're getting their first party in order, and now people have a reason to buy it. But people are there's 55 million PS4s sold. Like, nobody knows why. Nobody has a clue why. Like,
people just like to own things.
So, and it's cool, but Nintendo didn't get that with the Wii U. And I don't think everybody's gonna be like, hey.
Yeah, because so for gamers, like, gamers are constantly more and more wary of Nintendo because they keep making so many mistakes, so many easily, like, bottom line things where it's like, okay, let's make it graphically competitive so that we can get third parties. Let's have a virtual console. Let's have like a well thought out like online system, like all that stuff. And it just
Because the casuals.
But what I was gonna say, it's like the casuals that bought the Wii, like the grandmas and stuff like that, like, and then like the casual gamers that are like our generation, like everyone that's like, you know, in their mid 20s to like early 30s or whatever, they grew up when Super Nintendo was cool or regular Nintendo was cool. Like, if they're gonna buy video games for their kids, they'll buy Nintendo because they're like, oh, I'm not really a gamer, but I remember Nintendo being cool when I was a kid. But then as soon as that generation gets older, you know, like it stops buying. Like once that ends, like that's their market, is that casual market in a sense, where like the people that like, you know, the gamers that have kids probably aren't going to be as optimistic to buy their kids Nintendo because
because there's been no good reason. And what I was thinking about with the casual market too is like the PlayStation 4 got a lot of the casual market because it was just, at the time, it was $100 cheaper, and it still had the Call of Duties and all those games.
And also, it had the press on its side.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. I remember when I was in 8th grade, trying to buy a GameCube at Best Buy, and the guy was trying to convince me to buy an Xbox instead.
Yeah, they pressed. Well, it was the first US-made console, and everybody was so excited.
Well,
it wasn't a letdown though.
I liked it, but I mean, the GameCube was great too. All three of those consoles at the time all had really cool games.
But yeah, but what I was saying is that like I play video games, so I thought that guy was stupid. He's actually saying I should buy an Xbox or a PlayStation 2, whatever. Obviously, I own a PlayStation 2.
A lot of people were not.
And I was like, but I was saying how many non-aware people will that kind of like stuff work on? Where someone's like, oh, some mom just wants to buy something for a kid, and the guy can just like, hey, you know what? This is really not a well-made product, and there's not a lot of value in it. You should consider buying a PlayStation 4 instead. Like that will work on tons of people that are not.
And it will, as we've seen with Xbox, because a lot of people hated the idea of always on. Like that follows a long time. I still met people 2 years after Xbox One came out that said, well, I want it, but I don't want to have my console always on the internet the whole time and not be able to buy physical games. I mean, you could see the physical games
so
there.
Now everyone just would rather have like less space take up, everything's digital. Yeah. Like Microsoft, basically, Microsoft had the best idea and everyone hated them for it, and then...
And I get it, they were bullish about it at the time. They were like saying to people who were traveling like, hey, don't buy it. But they have done so much ground on that, whereas like Nintendo, they're gonna now have to make up a lot of ground, and will it change things? Will we see the people, that they're like not helping right now, still watch all the news to see when they're... I know I will, but will everybody else?
This will help tell. I mean, this will help tell if they even care about their customer base at all.
Yeah, well, we'll see, man. I think this E3, if they don't have like the best E3 going for them, the Switch is gonna be in trouble because consoles don't... I mean, yeah, Xbox One did turn things around to where they started getting more in sales because they lowered the price and made good games, but it's rare that a console starts bad and then just skyrockets.
Yeah.
Like, consoles normally have to start okay, and then they can get better, but like, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, well, the strongest thing they had when they revealed the Switch was mystery. Like,
now
they had an interesting commercial and people were excited, but now that more and more is no longer mysterious and that all the actual news is disappointing.
Yeah. The mysteriousness worked against them because the problem was like all the rumors were coming out. We'd get all the good Wii U games as ports. We'd get, there was supposed to be a Mario and a Zelda at launch. Like, they should have stopped. The second those rumors came out and they knew they weren't true, they should have instantly been like, this is not true. Because I know for me personally, like GameCube Virtual Console, they announced that somebody made that rumor in December or January, and it was like on every news source. GameCube Virtual Console is coming out probably with the launch of the system, with Sunshine, Double Dash, and a bunch of other good games. It's
like rumors and speculation help them sell product, though. I mean,
it's not going to help now because if people actually look into it.
But I mean, by the time like all these people are like, well, you think they're like, well, maybe now that I already have a pre-order, I should just go ahead and pick it up. Like,
but there's people that will cancel their pre-order also.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just do what I may do, which is just sell it because there are going to be some people who want to get it for their kids. Like we talked about, Nintendo is still a good console for that, or a good company for that, but I don't know how many people.
But is there ever anything like this with Xbox or PlayStation where people like the console's coming out and they just don't know certain things?
I
don't feel like that's true, right?
So I think that people kind of know that Xbox and Sony are kind of just going to do whatever they want. And that's
right, but I mean, I feel like it's like you know, like okay, I'm getting a game console. I know these games are coming out. I know these features are there. And I know there's stuff that's coming. Is there ever this like, oh, I have this thing pre-ordered and I don't know what's going to happen with it? Like, it's like Nintendo.
With people. Like they don't care if they disappoint you.
It's funny too though because Nintendo never has this problem with their handheld devices. It's like, oh, 3DS is coming out. I will buy that.
Yeah, and well, the 3DS had some issues originally. They sold it for $300 or $400.
Oh yeah.
They had to give people the craziest thing, and we can't talk about this long, but when the 3DS came out, it was such a disaster because they sold for overpriced that they released Game Boy Advance games for all the people who bought it at the beginning, and you can't buy those games. Like, I've been wanting to buy those games forever. It was 10 Game Boy Advance games. It was like Zelda Minish Cap and a whole bunch of other great games I was like, man, I would love to buy those. They must release those at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It's never, the 3DS is 5-6 years old, and those are still just for the people who bought the 3DS early, which I guess is cool for them, but still another move where it's like, you can do this, you don't want to make money, like, I would have rebought those games.
Yeah.
But we need to take a real quick break, and we have one last short topic to cover.
Check out the number 2 show on the Podcast Radio Network this Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, and later that night, it'll be available for download on the ESO, Tangent Bound, and Gunna Geek networks, and also iTunes, Google Play, Mixcloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Podcast.com. Thanks so much, and we truly appreciate you listening. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos.
We're back to talk about one last topic. Last week we talked about PewDiePie and his racism and
Oh, we're talking
YouTube
about the backstabbing thing?
Yeah.
Where people are like saying they're friends with him and
Oh, that thing.
they're like, hey, I don't, like, he's not really racist, but he just did something stupid and I don't agree with his actions, but I'm still his friend. And then people online are bashing those people and saying, you're backstabbing him and like,
it's a vicious
dude, you know what I
cycle.
think it is? I think that because people have such sad lives and daytime TV is so bad now, this is their new soap opera.
Is the
like
YouTube and all
YouTuber
that
lives.
stuff.
The lives of YouTubers and like their interrelations with each other.
And that's actually what I want to talk about, not specifically that, but this YouTube personality, this Twitch personalities and like their content that they're producing is starting to be actually detrimental to the health. Recently this week, there was a Twitch person who was on a 24-hour stream. Do you know his name?
Brian PHSHYBRID Vignault.
Brian
Vignal.
Vignal. Okay, well, I hope you pronounced his name right. If not, you're an idiot. And I blame him. But anyways, Brian passed away this week, which was really sad. He was, I think, 35, right?
He's 35.
And he father of 2 children.
Father of 2 children. He was playing a 24-hour World of Tanks marathon to raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
That is a cool thing to me, but one of the reasons why I want to end on this is we try to we enjoy doing this. We all do this for fun, something that we look forward to, and we try to do it short. We just try to do an hour and a half, and I think some of these people, because they're doing this for their whole life to make a living, they're starting to do stuff that isn't healthy because that's how they make more money. And I just want to get your guys' opinions on what do you think about
Do you think it's the lack of movement that's causing people to just become unhealthy? Or
It's not just that. I think anytime you stay up for 24 hours is not good. I know they do that.
It's bad for your body. Sleep deprivation. He went out for a smoke break at 3 in the morning, right? So
because we don't know, people don't know if he died of natural causes because there's detectives that are actually investigating it. Because when
he didn't die in stream then?
He didn't die live on the stream. When his stream came back on, there was a detective using his account.
Oh, really?
Because a detective was trying to find out what happened to this guy. So nobody really knows if he died of just natural causes or his body shut down or if somebody did something to him.
well, there is at least a very good possibility that it was natural causes and his body shut down because you always hear the stories of the dude that checked himself into a computer lab in Korea or something and just died. I'm ready to die. I'm just gonna play games until I'm dead. So there's probably something that happens. I mean, when you're sedentary, something that happens if you have bad habits of smoking cigarettes, drinking Mountain Dew, and eating Cheetos constantly while staying up for 24 hours.
Gamers.
I'm sure that all of the combination of all of those things. I've played games not for 24 hours, but I've played 8 hours of games in a day before, and I feel terrible when I do it.
You could go outside.
You have to get up and do something. You can't.
And I think, that's the same. Maybe there's something that happens with visual, maybe the whole concept of that interaction. Maybe it does something that we're not aware of because people sit down all day at their cubicle jobs, and people don't die every day.
Yeah.
Obviously, that lifestyle is unhealthy because humans weren't made or evolved to do that. But
well, there's actually laws in place that nobody probably uses because companies would probably fire you if you did use them, but you're supposed to take
a 10-minute break every hour.
Yeah, something like that. it's bad to look at your stream.
Yeah, so the bottom line is capitalism.
Yeah.
It's evil. But no, because people like this guy, he's going to stream 24 hours because the whole point of streaming is to have more followers, and you have more followers by beating everyone else. It's like the same thing that Uber's doing, where their employees are paid nothing, and their rates are so low because they're going to undercut everyone.
Yeah,
it's just like that, and it's the same thing with like game development companies, with movie like studios. It's like we have to have more products out there to beat the competition. It's all mentality. It's just everywhere.
It's weird that this happened when it did, because I had a conversation with someone. We were talking about how like the retirement programs are so filled with so much money because businesses only expected people to live like 2 or 3 years after they retired because they would stop doing things. But then he brought a point up to me. He's like, so do you think with video games that our minds are going to be active, and so we're not going to basically, that's not going to be true because our minds will be active, and we'll get up to use the bathroom or whatever. But like, I think what this shows with this Twitcher is that that's not true. Like, even if we retire and we just sit there and play games all day, you're still, your health is still an issue.
Yeah, I think anytime you do this type of stuff where you do 24-hour streams, even for good causes, you are risking something that there's no need to risk. Like Eric was mentioning, there's a race to the bottom in terms of like, hey, what is everybody going to do to make $1? And it's unhealthy. And then for something like this where he's doing that for a good cause, which is great, the idea is it shouldn't be 24-hour streams. Nobody needs to watch him play games for 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a 12-hour stream. He would probably still be able to help his company. Or like a great example of these things done well is, what's good? Awesome Games Done Quick.
Yeah.
AGW, Awesome Games. AGDQ, right? And that's a 24-hour stream, but most people are actually only a part of it for an hour.
Yeah,
hour or two.
Switch, yeah.
And it's a great idea because they raise, I don't know if one of you guys want to bring up the total real quick before we head out, but they make millions and millions of dollars for Doctors Without Borders every year. And it's really cool. The people love it, and it's not one guy who's going to kill himself pretty much from doing this. So for me, this is just like a wasted life. A wasted life that a family needs to suffer for.
Yeah, I hope all the charity money that he was earning by that stream just goes to his family instead.
Because they're going to need it. And it's just, there's no pension for Twitch streamers. There's no, hopefully he had life insurance, and hopefully his family gets that money, because it's a bummer. I don't think he intended to hurt his family this way, but it's just another good reminder of while games are great, we don't need to put our bodies at risk just to make other people entertained or happy.
Yeah, games can be good and healthy in a lot of ways, just like eating can be.
Stress.
If you eat for 24 hours straight, you'll also die.
They've raised $10 million for Doctors Without Borders and the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Awesome Games Done Quick is a great example, and I feel like a lot of people don't want to do that because let me just do my 24-hour stream and I'll make more money than the last 24-hour stream, and I'll be the best 24-hour streamer. Anyways, with that, we're going to all go and have a 24-hour stream each, so we look forward to having you guys watch us. I got all my Mountain Dew and Doritos and Cheetos at home, and I got my Taco Bell, so I'm ready to do this. What about you guys? You guys ready for your 24-hour streams?
I think I've eaten Taco Bell in 10 years.
Eat it every night. Every night.
It's the one
Blue Mountain Dew.
It's the one fast food. Taco Bell and Burger King are the only fast food restaurants that I ate as a child that I have not tried again as an adult.
Let me tell you, they're delicious. I actually have had them recently. We won't talk about that because this isn't our. But this is not that.
Taco Bell podcast.
Anyways, we're Super BS. See you next week.
That's to us people that can feel things, it hurts.